بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم إن زلزلة الساعة شيء عظيم يوم ترونها تذهل كل مرضعة عما أرضعت وتضع كل ذات حمل حملها وترى الناس سكارى وما هم بسكارى ولكن عذاب الله شديد. ومن الناس من يجادل في الله بغير علم ويتبع كل شيطان مريد. كتب عليه أنه من تولاه فأنه يضله ويهديه إلى عذاب السعير. يا أيها الناس إن كنتم في ريب من البعث فإنا خلقناكم من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم من علقة ثم من مضغة مخلقة وغير مخلقة لنبين لكم ونقر في الأرحام ما نشاء إلى أجل مسمى ثم نخرجكم طفلا ثم لتبلغوا أشدكم ومنكم من يتوفى ومنكم من يرد إلى أرذل العمر لكي لا يعلم من بعد علم شيئا. وترى الأرض هامدة فإذا أنزلنا عليها الماء اهتزت وربت وأنبتت من كل زوج بهيج. ذلك بأن الله هو الحق وأنه يحيي الموتى وأنه على كل شيء قدير وأن الساعة آتية لا ريب فيها وأن الله يبعث من في القبور. ومن الناس من يجادل في الله بغير علم ولا هدى ولا كتاب منير. ثاني عطفه ليضل عن سبيل الله له في الدنيا خزي ونذيقه يوم القيامة عذاب الحريق. ذلك بما قدمت يداك وأن الله ليس بظلام للعبيد. ومن الناس من يعبد الله على حرف فإن أصابه خير اطمأن به وإن أصابته فتنة انقلب على وجهه خسر الدنيا والآخرة ذلك هو الخسران المبين. يدعو من دون الله ما لا يضره وما لا ينفعه ذلك هو الضلال البعيد. يدعو لمن ضره أقرب من نفعه لبئس المولى ولبئس العشير. إن الله يدخل الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار إن الله يفعل ما يريد. من كان يظن أن لن ينصره الله في الدنيا والآخرة فليمدد بسبب إلى السماء ثم ليقطع فلينظر هل يذهبن كيده ما يغيظ. وكذلك أنزلناه آيات بينات وأن الله يهدي من يريد. إن الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والصابئين والنصارى والمجوس والذين أشركوا إن الله يفصل بينهم يوم القيامة إن الله على كل شيء شهيد. ألم تر أن الله يسجد له من في السماوات ومن في الأرض والشمس والقمر والنجوم والجبال والشجر والدواب وكثير من الناس وكثير حق عليه العذاب ومن يهن الله فما له من مكرم إن الله يفعل ما يشاء. هذان خصمان اختصموا في ربهم فالذين كفروا قطعت لهم ثياب من نار يصب من فوق رؤوسهم الحميم يصهر به ما في بطونهم والجلود ولهم مقامع من حديد كلما أرادوا أن يخرجوا منها من غم أعيدوا فيها وذوقوا عذاب الحريق إن الله يدخل الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ولؤلؤا ولباسهم فيها حرير وهدوا إلى الطيب من القول وهدوا إلى صراط الحميد إن الذين كفروا ويصدون عن سبيل الله والمسجد الحرام الذي جعلناه للناس سواء العاكف فيه والباد ومن يرد فيه بإلحاد بظلم نذقه من عذاب أليم وإذ بوأنا لإبراهيم مكان البيت ألا تشرك بي شيئا وطهر بيتي للطائفين والقائمين والركع السجود وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق ليشهدوا منافع لهم ويذكروا اسم الله في أيام معلومات على ما رزقهم من بهيمة الأنعام فكلوا منها وأطعموا البائس الفقير ثم ليقضوا تفثهم وليوفوا نذورهم وليطوفوا بالبيت العتيق ذلك ومن يعظم حرمات الله فهو خير له عند ربه وأحلت لكم الأنعام إلا ما يتلى عليكم فاجتنبوا الرجس من الأوثان واجتنبوا قول الزور حنفاء لله غير مشركين به ومن يشرك بالله فكأنما خر من السماء فتخطفه الطير أو تهوي به الريح في مكان سحيق.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Right, the source. Shut up. I've said that before, that every single time we're doing these streams, I'm going to start with the recitation from Sheikh Saud Shirem. And I'm not going to show the source because I'm not telling what's the surah. It's the quiz of every start of the stream. I have to ask, does anyone know what surah is this? Okay? In fact, you tell me. Since you have a big-ass mouth, tell me. Do you know what surah is this? It's pretty obvious because I let him keep reciting until it was pretty obvious what kind of surah it was. Alright. Yeah, you gotta hint it, whatever. Anyways, oh, the camera's not working. One second. Okay, it works now. Where were we? Yes. That's not you? No, that's not me. I can't even... I try to sound like him, but I can never. One day, inshallah. I try a lot. He's one of the prophets. You're an idiot. You're a big idiot. Acting like you know what you're doing, but no, it's not. It's not. No one knows what surah is this? I muted the stream. Oh, it feels bad. حنفاء لله غير مشركين به. Really, no one knew what. Okay, I'll re-recite one of the ayat so you can, get the hint properly. Al-Hajj, that is correct. Right before I was going to give another hint, it was Surah Al-Hajj. Right? It's not a prophet name. It's a pillar name, pillar of Islam. It's Surah Al-Hajj. Literally, وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ فِي الْحَجِّ يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا وَعَلَى كُلِّ ظَاهِرٍ يَأْتِينَ. Like literally, the ayah just said the name Hajj. You couldn't get a better hint. Anyways, today we are coming back coming back to the story where we stopped last time. Let's do a quick recap, because we love recaps. You know, like when you're watching One Piece and the first 10 minutes of the episode is just a recap of Zenkai no Arasuji, right? Mugiwara Tachi, what they do. What did the Qubba'at al-Qash, Qarasinat Qubba'at al-Qash, the Straw Hats, what did the Straw Hats do, chat? So, this is a better story than One Piece. Just gonna say that, I'm just gonna throw that out there. This is a better story than One Piece. And like the reverb, I actually forgot to turn it off. Oh well. We talked about how the Prophet, after being raised by his nursery mom, Halima Sa'diyya, right? No, we're not going back all the way to the start. We'll only go back a little bit, all right? After he was raised by his nursery mom, and the incident where the archangel, Jibreel, came down and literally ripped his chest open, took out his heart and washed it, and took out the clot, that little dark thing that was, you know, Satan's luck, they could call it. هذا حظ الشيطان منك. Gabriel or Jibreel said to Muhammad, of course, who's unconscious, but you know, doesn't know what's happening to him. His nursery mom, Halima Sa'diyya, was very scared about after what happened, you know, when all of her children, foster children, were screaming, "Oh, Muhammad has died, right? And brought him back to his mother. And unfortunately, he did not live a lot with his mother. After with his grandfather, and his mother, they went to Al-Madinah, which used to be called Yathrib at the time. They went to go visit his father's grave, because he was born an orphan. He never seen his father at all. And on the way back, his mother got very ill and died. Okay? Ruh al-Qudus is Jibreel. Yeah. You don't know who Ruh al-Qudus is? He has a lot of names. Whenever something has a lot of names, chat, it means that thing is majestic, strong, you know? Wait. And she's dead, yes. And she died on the way back. And after his mother died, now he has no parents at the age of 6. The one who took care of him was his grandfather. His grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, whose real name is Shaybah. Right? And what did Abdul Muttalib do? Abdul Muttalib was very, very much fond of the Prophet Muhammad. Even though he's his grandfather, meaning he has his own children, and this is his grandchild, he loved his grandchild more than all of his children. And he preferred him over anyone else. You might be wondering, why is that? I'll tell you why. Because if we go back a little bit in time, we will know that a little bit back, before Prophet Muhammad was even born, and before, you know, when there was before Abdul Muttalib was an old grandpa, he was still like a young man, well, not young, but an adult, who had one child. His name was, if I can recall correctly, was the first one Al-Harith? I think Al-Harith. Al-Harith was probably the first one. The Prophet's uncle Al-Harith was the oldest uncle the Prophet had. And back then, this was a long time ago, before the Prophet was even born, this man, Abdul Muttalib, had a vision while he was sleeping. And we talked about this before as well. God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, can tell us, you know, about future events or try to warn us or try to give us advice by a lot of ways. Well, technically, because we're not prophets, it's a few ways, such as just having that feeling, which is called inspiration or ilham, right? You feel that something's wrong. You feel that you have to do something. That feeling Allah put in you, right? It's a pleasant feeling. It's not a bad feeling. And then you have the way of ru'ya. We said that all prophets, if they see something while they're sleeping, it's not a dream, it's 100% an order from God, okay? But the humans like us who aren't prophets, we do see dreams. But in certain conditions, we do also see ru'ya, even though we're not prophets. But it's not like an order from God, but it's like something real that will happen in the future or something that has meaning, right? It's not just a dream. And he had one of those, even though he was just a regular man. He had a dream where he was digging right next to a Kaaba. He was digging something, right? And it was between it was between two idols, two statues that Quraysh had at the time, right? And that when he digged there in his dream, he found the well of Zamzam. All right, now you might be confused, be like, Mecca, what do you mean he found Zamzam? I thought Zamzam was there way before Mecca was even a thing. Well, yes, but actually no. Yes, I put memes in the story, right? The thing is, if you guys remember the Yemen, the tribe, the Arabs who came from Yemen, eventually left Mecca, right? Some of them, not all of them, but a whole tribe called Jurhum, you know that one, I'm not sure if one of those who interacted with Ismail and Ibrahim, specifically Ismail, and he learned Arabic from them and all that. When they left Mecca, what they did was, sadly, they buried the Zamzam well under the ground. I actually don't know why did they do that. I have no idea why would they do that, but they did do that. And Zamzam was not known. Of course, the Kaaba itself, you can't really bury Al-Kaaba. Kaaba was a huge building that Prophet Ibrahim only could build with the help of his son because of, Allah's help, with the moving stone, the flying stone, you could call it. But let's not get into these details. The idea here is that the Zamzam was actually buried, the Zamzam well. So no one actually knew about the water from all these people in Quraysh. So when he woke up, Abdul Muttalib, he was like, I have to go dig the Zamzam well, right? I have to uncover this. I saw the dream. That dream felt way too realistic for it to be just, a dream. And he went there and started, digging. But the problem is you are digging in between two of the quote unquote idols, that the statues that Quraysh worshipped at the time alongside Allah, right? They knew about Allah. They knew that this Kaaba that they have here is the house of Allah, the house of God, right? But they also worshipped other things, thinking that these things can help them reach God better, which is wrong, by the way. And they tried to stop him. All the other big heads of Quraysh, what are you doing, Abdul Muttalib? Why are you doing this? Stop right now. Stop. You violated the law. Right? And they were mad at him. They wouldn't let him dig, but he had his son. He had his son Al-Harith standing on guard, not letting them pass him until his father Abdul Muttalib could finish digging. And he did. And to their surprise, after he finished digging, they found they actually saw that there was water. There was a water well. And they were like, oh no, we must now share this. This is the discovery of all of us. Thank you, Abdul Muttalib, for discovering this. This is our well now. They literally turned into motherland Russia, right? Your will? No, our will. Right? They tried to inflict communism but it was not very effective. He wasn't like, hey, okay, don't hurt me. No, he didn't let them have it. And he had all the rights to it. And the thing is, the reason I'm mentioning this story is because during the time he was digging alone, and he said to himself, as he's digging, and his own son is like trying to protect him while he's digging, he said to himself, I vow, if Allah gave me 10 sons, as in like to help me dig with this thing, if I had 10 sons to help me dig and all that, if I had 10 sons to protect, not help me dig, more like to protect me, as in like the same way Al-Harith was doing alone, right? And he vowed, which is nadhr in Arabic, a vow that doesn't really, no one's holding him to. He just did it on his own, right? To show how grateful he would be. Out of nowhere, he said, if I had 10 sons, I will kill the last one, sacrifice him for the sake of Allah at the Kaaba, as in like he would kill his own son for the sake of Allah, for Allah blessing him, for the 10 sons. Oh, I know, it doesn't make sense. Like, why would you kill your son as a way of saying thank you? But that back then, I guess that's how they think. Typical Jahiliyyah, as Abud said in the chat, literally. They were called Jahiliyyah back then. Jahiliyyah translate to the ignorance. They were so ignorant. It's the word ignorant alone isn't enough to describe, because English is a bad language that doesn't have really strong descriptive words, but they were so ignorant, so like uninformed, that they thought this was a good idea. He had good intentions, but well, he had one son at the time, right? He just said it. He's like, oh, if only I had 10 sons, I would sacrifice one of them for God, for like blessing me with 10 sons. And what do you know? The more you know, he got 9 more sons, and they ended up being 10. Right? Surah An-Nasr, please. You're at the wrong stream, my guy. We're doing the Friday stream on the Friday time. Not right now. Anyways, what's it called? I got distracted. Where was I? Yes, he got 10 sons. Exactly 10, exactly. And of course, like he was a good man. He was a good man at heart, and he was like, I must now kill my last son, because I said I vowed I would do that. But, sadly for him, the last son was his favorite. Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib. Do you guys remember that name? Abdullah. I've said it last stream a lot. Who's Abdullah? Abdullah, the son of Abdul Muttalib. Wait, isn't that the Prophet's dad? What? Is this how the Prophet's dad died? Well, no. Because if he died when he was a child, then, how did he get married and have a child, right? He is Muhammad's father, right? Abu Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And you can't speak Arabic? Yeah, I can't. My bad. سامحني أنا آسف. حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل. أشكال ما تعرف. Anyways, the problem is he loved him dearly. He very much loved his son Abdullah, right? So much that like he felt like he needed someone to tell him, don't do it, right? And so did Quraysh, right? Quraysh told him, yo, Abdul Muttalib, we know you like him a lot. Relax, don't do it. And he's like, no, what am I gonna do? I have to, I vowed to do this. I have to do it. And they gave him an idea to go do something else. But what would be something else? Oh my God, these kids. 1 second, let me take care of this real quick, chat. I don't like people who don't understand. And then they cry, oh my God, let me get banned me. Well, maybe if you understood what I'm trying to say. Bye-bye. Jane. All right, he's gone. Anyways, as we were saying. So, as we were saying, the option that arose was that he would ask a sorceress. I know, sorceress. Sounds fake. But I'd like to believe, I don't know if this is real or not, I'd like to believe that Allah made her say something so that, he wouldn't kill his own son. Right? It was like part of the big plan. And I'll tell you why I think that. He went to a sorceress and she told him that he should cast lots, as in he should do something like, throwing a dice of 10, or like, do you know how to do a straw loots, chat? If you're playing Osama game, you play Osama Darida, you play Osama game? In the anime, you see it, it's like a bunch of chopsticks, and it's numbered from 1 to 10, and whoever takes the one that is the king, his Osama numere wa zettai. You know that, chat? And she told him, do that drawing loots, as in basically RNG. You know RNG, chat? Basically RNG. She told him, do an RNG game with 10 camels and your son. Right? And however, right, if whoever you draw, you have زي اللي صار في قصة يونس. Yes, exactly what happened with Yunus. In the story, as a side note, Prophet Yunus also did something similar, where they were on a ship and they had to kick out some people, otherwise the ship would sink. And they drew loots, and whoever name came up would have to get kicked out. And guess who came out? The name of who? It was the Prophet Yunus. But they said, no, we can't kick the Prophet. Are you guys crazy? So they drew loots again, and guess whose name came out? Prophet Yunus. 3 times. It was God's will that his name comes up enough times for him to realize that this is God telling him to get out of the ship, which he did and got eaten by a whale. But he was alive. But that's another story. That's Prophet Yunus' story, right? For the thing is, remember, for Yunus, he had the worst RNG. Again, I've said that before. There is no such thing as RNG. Life does not have RNG in it. Everything is by God's will, and especially these kinds of things. Allah wanted Yunus to get out of the ship, just like here, when he drew loots, the chance of it happening is 10%, less than 10%, because there were 11 loots, right? The sorceress told this guy that, draw loots, and if it fell on the camel, then kill the camels, all the 10 camels, right? If it fell on Abdullah, then since you don't want to kill him, then add 10. Sorry, 1 second. Chat, use your math brains. I know I don't like math either, but listen, this is very impressive, okay? Very impressive. This is if we're talking RNG, this is RNG that goes higher than FGO. Genshin Impact, anything that you've seen in your life, okay? The chance at first was low, okay? There is 1 stick that has Abdullah's name on it, and 10 that had the camels on it, right? Camel. If he drew a camel, he would have to just sacrifice the 10 camels and that's it. But if he drew Abdullah, then the sorceress told him to add, camel? No, exactly camel. Because camel was the most expensive thing back then. Camels were the peak of economy, right? And the thing that happened is that she told him that every time the loot would be cast on his son, Abdullah, he would have to add 10 more camels. Right? And so he did. It was the first draw, and it was Abdullah. He drew again, and it was again Abdullah. So he added what? 20 camels. Now you have 30 camels to one human. Draws from 30 sticks, 31 sticks, and picks what? Picks his son. Again and again and again and again. Until there was 100 camels, chat. 100. That means he failed 10 times in a row. 10 times in a row he failed until there was 100. Well, technically, yeah, 10 times in a row until there was 100 camels. And do you know, like, this is hard to put into perspective because, you know, we live in a, even today, let's look up how much does camel cost in dollars? A camel, right, can cost around 50 grand, as in $50,000. Around $50,000. So if we, but by the way, this is like one of the, this is the least that a camel can cost. It can cost a lot more, but the least can be $50,000. And we're talking 100. Oh my God. 50K times 100. Isn't that? Oh my God. That's, yo, yikes. That's 5 million. That's $5 million. That's $5 million, man. And this is the least end. That's the minimum. We're talking about the minimum here, chat. The minimum cost is $5 million. Right? And of course, I'm talking in dollars. So if you want to switch it to other currencies, that could go to maybe tens and 20 and hundreds of millions in a different currency. Right? And even so, he did it. He literally, it's like burning that 100 million, that $5 million, you burn it because of your child. And he did. He sacrificed 100 camels for the sake of only one child, Abdullah, who ended up eventually becoming the father of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet, who sadly lost his dad before he could even see him. Does that explain to you all how much he loved him? He could have at any moment said, oh man, wow, 20 camels, 30 camels? That's like $1 million. No. Screw the child. I don't care. But no, he didn't. He kept doing it until he spared his own son. Right? And if you think about it, Muhammad is the son of his favorite son. You know, his favorite son who died already. That's why he liked him so much. In fact, there was a mattress right next to Al-Kaaba that was like by the shade of Al-Kaaba. You know how hot like the desert is, and Mecca is basically in a desert. If there's anyone from Mecca right here, they would tell you. I visited for Hajj, and it's a hot place. Mecca is hot, right? So they need shade, and there was a mattress for Abdul Muttalib only, right next to the Kaaba's shade, and that's where he would sit. And all of his children, you know, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad's uncles, all of the children were out of respect for their father. They never sat on it, on the mattress. They only sat around it, never to sit on their father's mattress. But guess who? That 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid that used to sit on that, Abdul Muttalib's mattress, one of the big heads of Quraysh, the biggest heads of Mecca at the time. He sat on it, and of course, his uncles, Abdul Muttalib's children were furious. No, get up, leave. No, this is our father's mattress. You don't get to sit here. And what does Abdul Muttalib say? Do you know, Chad, what he's saying? He says, leave him. He says to his children, leave him. Let him do what he wants. Like literally, leave my grandson. I swear by Allah, this boy will hold a significant position. And he was right. This boy became the greatest. Well, he was already, but he was a child yet. But he grew up to be the greatest human we ever knew in history. And in the future and all that. Right? In Mecca, there's 3 summers and 1 fall. Yikes. Okay. Right? And, I know I'm going to do you guys dirty. When anime always introduces a new character and makes you love that character because, they show you how much lovable they are and all that. And then you know what they do? Yeah, the normal drill. Exactly when the Prophet was 8 years old, 2 months and 10 days old, 8 years, 2 months and 10 days old, his grandfather Abdul Muttalib passed away in Mecca. He died. And his, because he still is 8 years old, he needs a guardian. That someone has to take care of him. The one who took that was his uncle. One of his uncles, Abu Talib. Abu Talib took care of him. Right? He was an amazing person. Abu Talib was just as good as his father. Right? He put him like not only like he treated him as his own child, he even preferred him over his own children. You see, a lot of the time, you see in stories like Cinderella or something like that, right? That one orphan girl, she gets to live with her I don't know, her father's wife or something like that. She gets treated like trash. It's always like that. And that's in real life true as well, by the way. Like, why would you treat someone better than you treat your own son? This is a stranger. This is like an adopted kid. That's why a lot of people, you're probably adopted, and they make fun of adopted kids because they try to make fun of you and make you think, oh, you're adopted, that means your parents never loved you. But that's actually untrue. I, in fact, know about, I shouldn't mention this, but who is Abu Talib's father again? Are you listening? Abu Talib's father is Abdul Muttalib, the one who just died. Abdul Muttalib is Abu Talib's father, making, Abu Talib the uncle of Prophet Muhammad, right? Anyways, so I completely forgot what I was talking about. Anyways, the treatment of Abu Talib to Muhammad was exceptional. He respected that child, always, treated him well, taught him well, and so on and so forth for 40 years. He stayed with him, by his side, for 40 years. Right? So you can imagine, yes, the Prophet would be sad by his mother's death, by his father's death, by his grandfather's death, but his uncle, Abu Talib, lived with him for 40 years. That means ever since he was 8 years old until he was 48. That's a long time. And he was always by his side. Okay, I'm kind of hinting at, the bad end right there, but for those who knows the end, just don't spoil, don't say anything, right? So the funny thing as well, if someone, Abu Talib was also, the son of Abdul Muttalib, and because he was the son of Abdul Muttalib, the head, one of the heads of Quraysh, the tribe that ruled over Mecca, one of the tribes that ruled over Mecca, he was an important figure, right? And so, if anyone wanted, anything from Abu Talib, what would they do? If I want, yeah, man, I need, it's like I want that prince or I want the princess to do something for me, or I want that prime minister to do something for me. So what they do, they be nice and they show respect and they treat the Prophet, Prophet Muhammad, the child, very well, so that they can get on his good side, which that's what happened. Anyone who treated the Prophet Muhammad well was always on Abu Talib's side. That's how much he mattered to him. And the wait, what? Oh, that was that's a time skip. Should we go for the time skip? I mean, this episode is about the childhood, isn't it? What did I name the stream, chat? What did I name the stream? Mutanabbi. All right, that the author. What's his name? Mutanabbi. Wasn't he the khayl wal whatever يعرفونني something والقلم. A guy who brags a lot. Time skip arc. Anyways, so the this okay, let's do a time skip. Yeah, let's do a time skip. So now the Prophet is 12 years old, right? Meaning 4 years has passed since his grandfather died, and he's been with his uncle, and his uncles take care. His uncle took him with him to a business trip to Syria. Back then, there were two big business trips, trading trips that happened for the people in Mecca. They were called رحلة الشتاء والصيف, as in the journey of summer and winter. So what does that mean? It means that when the times are very, very hot, the people of Mecca would go up. They would go north to Syria and the other Sham, they used to be called Sham, right? Syria, the Palestine, Lebanon, right? These places. Back then, these names didn't exist. It would also only be called, Sham. And Turkey as well. Also, all these places, were the same place. And when it's very cold, they would go south, closer to the line of equation. Equity, sorry, the equator. Man. Why am I saying the equator? This is basic migration. No. It's a business trip. Your distance from the equator determines how hot the place you're in, right? This is basic science. I'm not going to give you a science class. And the closer that you are to the equator, the hotter it is. The farther, the colder it is. So they would go, when it's cold, they would come closer to the equator, to Yemen. And when it's hot, they would run away from the equator to like Sham, Syria, and other places like that. Because there they could do better trade, with their, their own equator. خط الاستواء. Oh, in Malay, wait, that's Arabic though. Really, in Malay they also call it خط الاستواء. That's very funny. Anyways, in that trip, right, they were going up towards Syria until they reached Busra. Sorry, did I say Busra? It's very different places. Right? Busra, not Bursa. Bursa is Turkey. All right. Busra, they reached a town called Busra. And Prophet's uncle go to Siam that time? What? Why? Why would they go to Siam? What do you mean? I have no idea what you guys are saying. Anyways, so they left and they were inside the Romanian domain, right? As in the Kaiser, right? The Kaiser was the emperor, or the emperor, right? Who was it at the time? I actually don't remember. But there was under the Romanian domain, meaning that Basra bil Iraq. No, back then it was no, it's not Basra. Busra. With alif حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Alif مقصورة. It's called مقصورة, right? The one that looks like a ya. مقصورة, right? Anyways, I'm getting old. I'm getting forgetful. They met a monk, right? On their journey. He was his name is real name was Georges or Georgies or oh geez Rick. And I know it's the topic, the Prophet, stories about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his growing up. This is before he became a prophet, though, right? And the thing is, the monk, or like you could call him a Christian, right? He was someone who knew about the original religions, right? And okay, calling him a Christian is not a good idea. Let's just say someone with knowledge from like the old Christianity, the true Christianity. Who knows if he was Christian or not? But when he saw the Prophet, even as a child, he knew. And he said, right, he took his hand and he said, this is the master of all humans. Allah will send him with a message which will be a mercy to all beings. Rahmatan lil alameen. I wouldn't call him a priest. The book says monk, so I'll just follow the book. Anyways, so Abu Talib asked him, right, how do you know that? Like, how do you know these things? Ahl Kitab. I guess you could call them Ahl Kitab as well, right? So he told him, the guy who just exclaimed that, you know, this boy right here, this 12-year-old boy will be the master of all humans. He will be the mercy that, you know, all human beings will receive. And he said, when you appeared from the direction of Aqaba, I don't know where Aqaba is. Al-Aqaba, I guess, maybe. I don't know. But, you know, when you guys appeared, he was like, when you guys appeared, all stones and trees prostrated themselves. They all went into sujud. All stones, all trees did sujud, right? Because something big, you know. And yes, trees do have a will of their own. They're living beings. In fact, there are stories with the Prophet and trees, which we'll talk about in the future. Let's do a trivia. In fact, of course, this was later, 40 years later, when he became a prophet. There was a tree that the Prophet always climbed up, so he would, you know, give khutbah. Khutbah being, if you know, for those who don't know these things, being, you know, the preaching and like talking about Islam and talking about the good and what's bad and all these things. That happens every Jum'ah, or happens every Friday. And eventually, they made, you know, a stand somewhere. They built something for the Prophet to get up on instead of him, you know, going up the tree every single time. And when that happened, does anyone know actually this story? Does anyone know what happened? Does anyone know what happened to the tree? The tree cried, yes, right? It was a Jum'ah, And as he, man, it is said, this is a hadith, by the way, this is a hadith, فصاحت النخلة صياح الصبي, as in the palm tree, or like the some people say it was a palm tree, some people say it's a normal tree. It cried like a child. You could hear crying, right? And the Prophet went down. Oh man. The Prophet went down from, his stand, his manbar, the thing that they built for him, a pulpit, I guess you could call it, but no one uses that word, and embraced the tree, like hugged it. And like it continued crying like a child, right? Slowly being, when a child is crying and you hug it so they would slowly stop crying. That's exactly what happened. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم كانت تبكي على ما كانت تسمع من الذكر عندها. As in, the tree was crying for, what it used to hear, because, he was right next to her, the tree, and all the religious knowledge that she could hear back then, she's missing it, right? She missed all man, a tree cries. A tree is crying. And sorry, here, give me a second. A tree is crying, chat. A tree cried, and we don't. A creek cries, but we don't. That's ridiculous. We're so pathetic. We're so pathetic. Especially me. Starting from me. We're so far away. Even though it's Ramadan right now, we're so far away from Allah. We're so far away. We're so far away from Islam. Sorry, give me a second. Sorry, chat. I'll end the stream here. We'll continue more next time, okay? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.